Hello and welcome to the Ren Den. I'm Ren, this is the Den, and today we are fixing jeans. Yes, again. So hardcore fans might remember that about this time last year I had two pairs of jeans, both with holes in the crotch, and I fixed both of them to varying levels of success. The second pair was slightly better than the first pair. This year, all four pairs of my jeans, including the two that I fixed last year, are once again in misrepair. I also have a bunch of everybody else's trousers, which I promised I would mend, and I haven't. And some of us are running low on things to wear on our lower halves. So we're doing a bit of an oops all trousers repair session. And once we've done the kind of necessity stuff, hopefully we'll get a bit more fun with it. So I'm going to take what I learned from last time and sort of expand on that. And we're going to do 5 different ways of repairing and improving jeans and trousers in general, sort of starting with the most vital and going down the list to the fun stuff. So step 1 will be crotch patching. That's basically what we did last year. I'm going to see if I remember how I did that. I did watch my video from last year as research, so hopefully any lessons that I learned will have stuck. But that's the category that I have the most things to fix. Pretty much every pair of jeans in this pile needs crotch repair or reinforcement in some way. So honestly, if we can just get through that, that will be a success. We're also going to do pocket reinforcing. There's some places where my phone is starting to wear through the jeans, and we're going to do maybe like a little bit of embroidery just to support that area. The third thing is pocket extension, which is basically solving the problem. The reason that my phone is wearing through my jeans is because the pocket is very slightly too small for the phone, so I sort of have to wedge it in there. So what I'm going to do is sew an extra section to the bottom of the pockets and make them actually big enough for my phone, so that that's not a problem anymore. So we're kind of coming at that problem from 2 different directions. Pocket extension, I think, will just be universally useful as a thing to achieve. The fourth thing we're going to try is I'm going to add belt loops to a pair of jeans, or try to, by taking them off of one of the pairs that I'm using as kind of raw material for the repairs and putting them on a pair of jeans that I actually wear. This is the pair that I fixed first last year and then discovered that they were slightly too big, and as a consequence haven't really worn them this year. But I figure if I put belt loops on, I can wear them with a belt, and then that solves that problem. So we're going to try that. I've done no research into that at all. We're just going to see how that goes. Bit of an adventure. And then fourth category, bit of an indulgence. We're just going to do some decoration, do a little bit of fun embroidery here and there just to kind of make them cute. Yeah, just a little fun thing to end, which I think is the kind of the carrot at the end of the tunnel, if you will. So we've got a lot to get through. I'm slightly on more of a time crunch than I would normally be. I'm a little bit behind in the queue because I've been doing secret Christmas stuff that I can't show you. So we do need to produce some results fairly shortly. So I guess let's just get started. So this is the pile of jeans that I have said I will repair or reinforce the crotch for. There's quite a lot of them. I'm going to treat it a bit like a production line. I think we're going to cut and pin all of the patches, and then we're going to sew them on. Hopefully it's as simple as that. Et voila, loosely. And then I'm just going to do a little bit for the other side so that we're matchy, and the idea is it will overlap the seam here so that those can fold over each other, and then I can sew those together. Probably to about there, and I'm going to give it a curve at the edge. Okay. So we've got our 2 patches, and this is the inside. Remember, I keep forgetting because it's dark. But this is the outside and this is the inside. So then basically when it comes to the sewing, I'll just need to sew those together before I pin it to that, is I think how I did it last time. Okay, and then just to make sure I don't get confused, I'm going to pin those patches to that waistband. See, look, these are the smart jeans that I bought last year. I've worn them not exclusively, because I actually prefer the embroidered jeans, for less than a year. That's about to go, and that's gone. It's just irritating, really. Like, M&S, come on. Do better. I'm just feeling where the seam is underneath, which obviously, you know, it's all kind of an approximation, but I think that should be fine. I'm being quite, like, general with these, but honestly, you can be quite general. It sort of all comes out in the wash, as it were. Once you've, like, started sewing, it becomes, you can cut stuff away, and, like, the main thing is just trying to avoid wrinkles, and then other than that, it's quite forgiving. And then we've got the jeggings. So we're using this. I'm envisaging these are going to be harder because jeggings is obviously a stretchier material. But we'll see. And just wherever possible, other than this corner and this corner, but I'm trying not to have any corners around this bit. Hope you can see, because I just feel like it'll work better. Vibes, you know? It's been a hot second since I turned the camera on, so I'm sorry if I feel out of practice. I'm sorry if I seem out of practice, is because I am. I'm not sorry for feeling. You shouldn't be sorry for your emotions. Various reasons. I was away, and then I was ill, and then we were away, and then I was ill. 'Tis flu season. Okay, so that's all the patches cut. So the next thing to do is to sew all of the pairs together and then pin them in place. And then once I've pinned them, I'm actually going to baste them, even though it's slightly like extra work, because it just makes sewing down the patch itself much easier, or it did last time. It's going to take a little bit of extra time, but in that sense, but I think it will take not as much time to do the sewing down because it's going to be a bit more secure. Hopefully. So I'm literally just unpinning this, and we're just going to sew up and down the central line just to keep the pieces together, but and then pin it back on, basically. So this bit's quite straightforward. If anyone was wondering whether I managed to fix my sewing machine yet so it goes backwards, absolutely not. Imagine if I actually did things that I said I was going to do. So that's just one simple line down the middle, and I'm just going to pin that back to the trousers. And then we'll come back to it when it's time to start pinning all the patches on. Being roundly scolded for staying up past bedtime. Hi! Do you want to come in here? Come on then. Oh, did you want to cuddle? You didn't make that clear, baby. What's going on, huh? What's happening? What's in my microphone is what's happening. I know, lots of things you can't have. That might be as far as I get today because, you know, you've got to be reasonable about these things. But we've set ourselves up nicely, and tomorrow, patches, hopefully. So I'm going to use a really different colour to do the basting, just so that it's easy to know which threads to take out afterwards. That might backfire if I sew too much over them. But we're going to have most of the thread on this side anyway. We're just going to do little stitches. So this is probably the fiddliest bit, and it feels frustrating and like it's not worth it. But I think I would rather struggle bus about this now than when it's in the machine and I'm trying to stitch it in stitches that are much less reversible, and it not lie flat or I get a pinch in it. So that's the idea anyway. Then in theory I can just tie this one to this one, although that one's shrunk quite a lot in the last 30 seconds. And I don't want to pull it too much because otherwise it becomes a gathering stitch, and we do not want gathered crotches. No, we don't. Okay, and then we just need to do that 8 more times. Very much anticipating that the jeggings will be harder because they're stretchy. Okay, so this is the last patch that needs to be basted to its trousers. So I thought, now that I'm kind of reasonably confident on the method to make that happen, I thought I would sort of run you through it in case that's a useful thing, rather than just kind of watching fragments of me do things on other things, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm not fully convinced on the lighting, but there's only a limited amount of things I can do about it, so I'm gonna have to just assume that it's fine. These are my patches sewn together. And then so what I'm going to do is turn it sideways so I can stick one arm inside and futz about. And then I'm just going to get the seam on the crotch, and I want that to be the kind of first thing of the line of that section, and just flatten it out as much as possible. It's not going to be perfect because crotch seams are deliberately, there's ease in them so that you can sit down. So, you know, it's not going to be perfect. We've got our patches, and what I'm going to do is line up the center line with the center seam, and then just check. So from here, this side is pretty much spot on. This side I might take a little bit off. Doesn't need to be perfect. Honestly, a lot of this is going to come out in how you sort of piece the bits together, so don't worry too much about it. And then I'm going to put a pin up the center line, and then I'm going to move the whole thing onto my hand. So I've got my hand inside here so that, because the crotch isn't a flat place, I don't actually want to lay it on the table to pin it out. So, and I'm not going to put loads and loads of pins in it. Basically every edge, and if there's a fiddly corner, then the fiddly corner. So I do the bottom line first because I want that to be flush to that, and then using that as our kind of grid to keep it straight, we just kind of make sure that this is flat under this, and then I'm going to put a couple of pins in around here just to hold that together. Flatten this bit out. I'm going to put a couple of pins down this line just because it's a slightly bigger piece. And then one more there. There we go. And that's quite rough, you know. It's not gonna win any awards, but it holds it for as long as you need it to get there. And then I'm just going to get a sort of arm's length of this thread. And I'm going to get my inside hand back inside. And then I tended to start at this corner. I don't think it's any better than starting any other place, but that's been what I've been doing. And just try and do like small stitches underneath, because that's the part that's on the outside of the trouser. And then I'm just going to pull this. I'm not even going to secure this because it's such a temporary stitch, but I'm just giving it a nice long tail. And then big stitches on top. You can sort of take the pins out quite early. Big stitch on top, little stitch underneath. Just to keep it as tidy as possible. And like, I'm going quite fast. I'm not being super careful with it because basically it is just pins without I'm just decreasing the chance of stabbing myself in a minute when we start getting them in the machine. Pulling a little bit more there. You do have to be careful. If you pull it too tight, then obviously you start to gather, because this is basically a basting stitch is the same as a gathering stitch. It's just you don't pull the basting stitch. So if you do pull it, you can end up with some little folds, and that's obviously not what we want. So just be mindful of your tension. But again, it's fairly forgiving. You can usually pull it back out again if you're worried about it. And then you want to finish near but not on top of where you started. Take the needle off so I don't stab myself. And then I'm just going to tie a double knot, which again doesn't have to be super, like this is such a temporary thing, you are going to take it out, so it's just to hold it there for the meanwhile. And then I'm going to cut the ends with my scissors that I don't really know where they are. Take out the center pin. And there we go, all basted and ready to start stitching. Okay, so on this pair you can see the basting stitches all the way around. Obviously I need to cut this so that it will lie nicely. Should I have done that before I basted the patch on? Maybe, but we're here now, so just gonna be careful. There we go. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this under the machine and I'm going to sew around this edge and just tuck the edges in very slightly, like that much, as I go around, so that when we sew it down it'll be nice and neat. Last time I did it with a straight stitch. I'm sort of thinking I might do it with a zigzag this time. I don't know if that's a bad idea or not. But I like using the zigzag stitch, so we're going to start there and see what happens. Right, and then I'm just folding that edge that I just showed you over, and I'm going to get it underneath the foot, hopefully. If you get a pin, it's kind of easier to push the edges under with the pin once you're sort of lined up. It's definitely the fiddly bit. But if your basting is not bad, then you should be fine. I'm going to move the stitch width from 0 to 4. Keeping everything else the same, which takes us to zigzag. Yeah, okay. That's pretty basically working, I think. I'm just going to do pull the needle up, then move it back to, you see that? It's fun. Move it back to straight stitch just to finish it off. Although obviously we'll be going over and over and over and over this, so medium effort required. Okay, and then we'll get it out of there with a bit of finagling. I mean, I think that could be a lot worse. We're going to go over it a bunch of times anyway, so yeah, yeah, that's the hard part over. The next thing is just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth over the area just to reinforce it. And obviously there's some bits on either side of here that haven't gone yet but are going to, so I'm just going to reinforce those with a bunch of straight lines. And I try to follow the grain lines of the fabric, so I don't know if you can see, but the grain, you can see the grain is running this way on this section, and on that section, yeah, it's matching. So basically that 85,000 times. And I'm trying to go either right up to or very slightly over this centre seam, just so it's all kind of pinned to the strongest join, not just to itself. I did test one of these the other day and it took about an hour to do the actual like sewing, the machine sewing the patch on and kind of reinforcing the area, just so you've got context, because I think that's often the hardest thing, is to not know how long it's going to take. The other one the other day took me about an hour. I'm doing quite sort of generous zigzags the first go across, because what I find it easy to do is like do 2 passes, so I'm not worrying right now about the lines being really close together. When I've done a pass over the whole thing, then I'll sort of try and colour in the gaps. Obviously, if your machine can go backwards, it's probably going to take you a lot less than an hour. I'm spending most of the time turning the fabric around. So basically I'm quite happy with that. It's just this area which I feel like is going to go next. So I'm going to go back in and make this maybe a little bit more extended and just really go over this bit so it doesn't look fluffy. That's what we're looking to achieve. We're going from this to this. Just reinforcing everything, giving it a bit more backing. Everything in here has got 2 layers now. And I've gone right up to the corner in the zigzag, in the stitch crisscrosses, because I wanted to attach it to this and this to keep it all nice and secure. So the other side's not quite as difficult because it hasn't gone yet. So I just need to find some more thread and then we can have a matchy pair. We've been doing dark blue. I've got 2 royals. I think these are our best option, and honestly that one's a little bit darker and it's not that bad. Like, it's such an area that no one's ever going to see, so if the thread doesn't quite match, I don't think that's the end of the world. I will come back to you when we have a matchy pair. Et voila. I actually think the royal blue kind of looks better on film than the dark blue, but they both look pretty good. I probably would have gone over this more, except that the sewing machine has started to jam a lot and it's really annoying me. So I called it. I've got far enough where I feel like I'll be good for at least a bit. So the next thing we need to do is I'm going to snip these and try and get as much of the basting threads out as possible. So as you can see, we haven't sewed over the whole patch. So what I'm actually going to do is cut off the excess, because there's no point having extra fabric. It's just going to fold a bit comfortable. So we got our pinking shears back. And I'm just going to, I'm basically going to cut from this side so I can see, so I don't cut through the jeans by accident. So that's what it looks like on the inside. Obviously you can see all the working, but on the outside, it's pretty neat and tidy. And yeah, you can't see anything from, you know, how the jeans will be worn, so I'm going to call that success. So the next thing on the list is reinforcing pockets. And I've got 2 pairs of jeans here which need a very specific part reinforced. It's this part, about a phone's width down from the top of the pocket. I wonder why that could be. My pockets aren't big enough for my phone to go this way, so they have to go this way, but they're barely big enough for my phone to go that way. So in every pair of jeans that I wear often enough, I get a little hole right here. And what I want to do for these 2 pairs, there's the other one. It's slightly less through on that one. But this one's kind of turning into a hole very imminently. And what I want to do is just put a little bit of embroidery over the top. This one is kind of like literally the outline of the phone. Like this is the top corner and this is the bottom corner. So I might do something a little bit more involved on this one. This one should be quite straightforward. I should just need to do a little doodad. What I'm thinking is sunflowers. I sort of wanted to do something that wasn't flowers, just because it feels like the most obvious pull, but I think it's also the most obvious because they're easy. Like, they're a reasonably recognisable thing at that scale. And I think if I try to do anything more complicated, like, I thought about doing like a D20, like a D20, a 20-sided die from D&D. I thought about trying to do like a little bird, which might be cute, but I think for the bandwidth that I have this week, those things might be beyond me. So we're going to do some cute little sunflowers. The nice thing about that is you can do like stems and things around it as well. So for this one, what I might do is do a flower here and then sort of wend some vines up this section to kind of keep it all together. So I'm going to do the more involved one first because I prefer that pair of jeans, and if I get nothing done today, I would like my favourite pair of jeans to be a little bit more fixed. These are the ones that I did the repair on in my last video last year with the pocket sort of reinforcement. So I think sunflowers works really well with the kind of warm colour theme that we've got going on. So it should be fairly straightforward. I'm essentially going to do a circle in a kind of crisscross, so do a bunch of the way this way and then a bunch this way, to make the center of the sunflower, because that's the part that I want to be the most secure. That's the real kind of patch part, in this brown. And then I've got a nice sunny yellow for petals, which I think I will try and do. There's a particular stitch that I am going to try and do. I don't remember what it's called, but let's do the center first and see where we get to. There's so much crap in this room. I'm really trying to find camera angles that don't show you how much of a mess it is in here. It's like a sort of trouser related explosion has occurred. I'm not looking for dainty work, so I am just going to use the full width of the thread. If I can find the end. There we go. I'm going to have to bring the lamp over, which I appreciate is probably going to make the lighting worse for you, and I apologise. But I can't see nothing. And sometimes you just got to be able to see what you're doing. Really struggling to get a good angle for you and for me. So you might just be over there for this bit, but I promise I'm not doing anything complicated, other than making sure I don't do that. So the pocket directly to mend, which is going to be annoying later for a very specific reason, but this was another reason to pick a fairly simple design, and I think it's going to be fairly forgiving to do essentially a bunch of crisscrosses until it looks a bit like a circle. And then trying to remember what that stitch is called that I want to do for the petals. It's like the normal stitch one would do for petals, so I'm sure some of you will already know exactly what I'm talking about, but for those who don't, stay tuned. I have at this point accepted that this video is not going to go out when I wanted it to, so I kind of had to decide, is it more important to get the work done or to follow a schedule that I have made up and therefore should be able to decide when it's not useful for me. And ultimately, I would rather have trousers that are functional than have an intact video posting schedule. But it's going to be the first one that I'm going to miss, so from that perspective it's kind of annoying. I'm not really good at missing deadlines. Like, I'm a sort of perfectionist, but like more about the deadline than about the work sometimes. And I think it can be hard to just accept that you're not going to get it done. Like, that's fairly convincing. And like, I'm going to put a bunch of yellow around it, so really, that's the main thing. It is actually really nice to have an embroidery needle in my hand again. It's been a while since I've done any, and I do miss it. The problem with the Zelda jacket is that it's far from being like instant gratification. It just takes so long to do anything. Maybe I'll pick it up again in the new year, because at the moment every spare minute is like Christmas presents and stuff, and I don't really have spare time for like off-camera fun projects, because the Christmas presents have been taking up that time. Oh, it's literally called Lazy Daisy Stitch. Sweet. Again, I'm using all 6 strands. I'm not even like de-stranding them to make them neater. It's such a small thing that I really can't be bothered. Okay, so we got our circle, and we need basically quite big petals because I want it to cover this whole bit there as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up right against the brown thread, pull it through, and then I'm going back down in the same place, and then this will be our loop. So I want them to be quite big. So let's say there, and then I'm inside the loop, so as it pulls through I'm holding it there like that, and then you just come down sort of in the same place as you were in on that loop, and then if I pull it tight, it's a lovely little petal. And we're just going to do that a million times. Maybe I should have drawn circles on this first, but this is kind of fun. Sort of enjoying just sort of making it up. And I kind of lay the loop out kind of roughly in the direction that I want it to go, so that when you put the needle through in the middle of that, that's kind of where it ends up. I will continue to go round on this. I'm probably going to go around twice just to sort of layer the petals and give it lots of anchor points, and then I will show you the result, and maybe we'll do some vines. And there's our sunflower. I think that's pretty cute. So I've just drawn a line down here where I wanted to reinforce that, where the sort of phone sits, with the fabric marker, and I'm just doing a stem stitch along it, and then I'll add some leaves, and you can see how that goes at the end. So I finished off my embroidery last night. It is upside down, yes, but I think it's still cute. There we go. I think the green is quite subtle, so actually it's not, you know, super out of place. I was thinking I might do another vine up this way and sort of reverse it so that it's kind of like a dual direction thing. But not right now because I have so much to do. So this is where the first hole was, the main hole from the phone, and then this is where the other corner of the phone would sit, essentially, roughly, somewhere around there, this leaf. So it's like, yeah, it's just nicely reinforced, the bits that I want reinforced. And like I say, the next thing we're going to do is to make sure that this is no longer a problem, so it can be slightly more decorative. And then just for a bit of a stretch goal, I also did the same on this pair of jeans, which has slightly, the problem was slightly less severe. So I just did a tiny little daisy, just over the one hole. And again, I'm probably going to mess with these pockets. So, but yeah, I thought that would be just a little cute thing. They're kind of cute as a like, as a pair. I think it's a cute little motif, and it is really easy to do flowers, as much as I sort of, I feel like flowers are a bit of a sort of ubiquitous embroidery pattern, and it would kind of be fun to do other things, but for the purposes of this, these are super cute, and the Lazy Daisy stitch makes a really nice texture. So that's cool. So pockets reinforced, we can move on to proactive measures of making sure that my phone is not wearing through my pockets, which is to make them bigger. So I've gone through my stash and I've found a bunch of fabrics that I think will do well as pocket extensions. I should say I'm doing this without having looked anything up about how this works. My plan is basically to cut the existing pocket open and sew some extra stuff to it and then sew it closed again. So one of these is going to be a little bit of an adventure. So this is my backup phone, my old phone, which I've been kind of using as an iPod recently, which has been quite nice to sort of have a separate thing for music. So if you see me wearing headphones more in videos, it's because I've cracked how to film and listen to music at the same time, which I'm quite pleased about. But basically, you can see, the black jeans is maybe a bad example. Let me find a blue pair. So yeah, you can see there's the pocket bag. This is my old phone, which is slightly smaller. And it's just not going to fit realistically because the edge of the pocket is actually here. So we've got that much space to play with. So we're overhanging by like an inch and a half. So I want to add like at least a couple of inches to the bottom, I guess, so that there is room to just comfortably put the phone in there and know that it will stay there, which will mean 4 inches of fabric. Let's say 5 inches of fabric because you want it to go down the V, down to the bottom, fold up, and then room for the sewing it to the other bit. So the bottom of this bag is, it's about 8 inches. So we're going to need at least 5 by like 8.5 inches probably to do the pocket bag. What I might do is do the whole of the black pair off camera because A, it's going to film badly, and B, I think sometimes I get overwhelmed when I'm working something out for the first time on camera, and sometimes it's a fun process and sometimes there's pressure. And because I'm feeling time pressure on this one, even though I've decided the video is going to be late, I think I'm better off doing this one and working stuff out, and then showing you one of the others in depth, and then kind of sprinting through the other two for you. So hopefully that's what you're about to see. Ta-da! So obviously they don't look cute necessarily, but I thought it would be really fun, like, because no one's ever going to see this part, I thought it would be kind of fun to have like really out of place fabric on the bottom of them. I just thought that would be more entertaining. So the measurement, I ended up doing 8 by 8 inches for the pocket, and then obviously folding it, because I just thought that way I wouldn't get confused between which direction was which direction. I've also pinned it here just at the bottom corner just to anchor it a little bit more. I did have to finish off this corner with, you can see the pinker thread there, by hand, because I couldn't quite get the machine, because of the sort of chunkiness of the hems and stuff, I couldn't quite get the machine into that corner. But otherwise I've gone over everything twice, so it should be fairly secure, or twice minimum. I think I went over this quite a lot. I'm also using up, you can see obviously the thread is not matched for the fabric at all. I am using up all of the thread that's on like my bobbins that I don't normally use, so I'm using up the white under thread right now, and then I've just kept this like bright blue thread from the last crotch mend that I did on the top, because no one's ever going to see this part, so it doesn't matter what colour it is. So yeah, but for a first go, having read no instructions whatsoever, I think that's gone quite well. So we're going to try another one now and see if we can replicate it. So this line is basically where the pocket goes in. I think it's slightly above that, so it's really about here. So I want about 8 inches down from there. So what I'm going to do is find it and then measure. So we want about another 2.5 inches minimum to get the pocket depth that I want. Because I don't want to do this 100,000 times, I'm going to do what I did on the other one, because this is about 8 inches across. So I'm going to do what I did on the other one and do a square 8 inches by 8 inches, fold it in half, and then put it on there. I haven't ironed any of the fabric. I didn't do that for the last set. I'll fold it in half so I can cut both at the same time. What I learned from the first time is that you actually don't have to be fantastically accurate for this to work. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. And then we do 8 inches along here, which is about there. Much easier on the gridded fabric. Actually, 10 out of 10 recommend, especially if you're trying to do something fast. I'd rather have too much than not enough. Okay, so now we need to prepare the jeans. What I'm gonna do is pinking shears again. I'm basically not cutting anything with the straight scissors for this whole project because actually I don't want to. So to avoid this nonsense, I'm actually gonna cut that whole bit off right to the seam, but not quite over it. And then we need to open this side seam so that we can actually get in to sew in here. And I'm gonna go, what is that going to be, like a couple of inches maybe up? You need enough to give yourself working room inside, so like err on the side of doing too much rather than not enough, because not enough is annoying later. Okay, so we've got an open end, and then I'm going to take one of our squares and basically just fold it in half-ish. Now we're only going to pin one side at a time. What I found is it's much easier to pin one side, sew that side, and then pin the other side, rather than dealing with quite a narrow tube that's got pins on two sides. And I'm keeping about call it a centimetre overlap. And the other important thing is that the patch, goes on the outside of the pocket, so that when you put your hand in, you're not going to encounter the upward facing point of this like that. But if you're on the inside, hang on, this is probably an easy way of showing it. So this is kind of what it's going to be on the inside. And as you're putting your hand in, you're not encountering any upward facing seams. So you're less likely to punch straight through the pocket, which will hopefully make them slightly more long wearing. Sorry if I'm a bit croaky, by the way. I'm still coming back off of being ill, so that's why. So we've got that pinned, we just need to get it under the machine. Okay, so I just sewed the whole first side without realising that I wasn't filming. So apologies for that. I've basically done 2 rows of stitching here. It's quite nice actually using a checked fabric because it means you can really follow the lines a bit more. Yeah, I've done backwards and forwards just to kind of make sure that there's 2 points, like probably like half a centimetre if that apart. Just to make the join slightly stronger. And then I've pinned the second side, and we're just going to sew that, which is slightly fiddlier because obviously now you've made a tube. The other thing is just always make sure that you've never got anything else under the foot, because it's just all too easy in a space this small to sew something to something else, and it's really annoying to undo. I think we got away with that. Okay, so we've got a pocket tube attached to the other pocket, and basically we're just going to go up and down the sides, real simple. This is going to be the awkward corner where it joins this seam here. We're not going to be able to get all the way to the edge, but we'll see how close we can get, and then you finish off by, and then I'll finish off by hand. And then this side will be nice and easy. The only thing is just going over the bit that I've unpicked as well, so that that is also nice and secure. So I'm going to do that side first. You basically don't need pins for this bit, which is nice. How rarely does that happen? Sewing with no pins. And then at the bottom, right at the fold, if you look at your jeans pockets, at the bottom of the, right before the seam of the pocket hits the fold, it does this, just to soften the bottom corner, which I'm trying to replicate. Et voila. And then finally just the difficult side. And there we have a really nicely big pocket. Look at that compared to that. Isn't that much better? If I put it in. It's like, there's the top of the pocket. It's fully like this far, much further down than that way up. I'm quite pleased with that. The only things left are I'm going to go over this awkward corner here, where it obviously stops being a part of the big seam, and just make sure that that's nice and secure. And then I'm going to pin this corner to the seam like that to make that secure, and then we're done. And then very roughly, because nobody's ever going to see this, I'm going to put a cross in this corner. Like that. And then just go over that a bunch of times so that it's nice and secure. A nice big pocket for proper pocket things. There's a little before and after. So I'm going to whiz through the other side of this one, and then honestly I might give myself a bit of time to do maybe... No, I'm gonna... Look, this video is already going to be late. I might as well have fun. I'm gonna do the other two sets of my jeans that I would like to give bigger pockets to. So, in chronological order, neon green pockets, picnic pockets, flower pockets. I think these ones are my favourite. And finally, truly random pockets, which is the fabric I had left to choose from. And just as a demonstration, where's my spare phone? It's there. To demonstrate further, I don't know if this will work because it's slightly too wide maybe, but I think this is my favourite thing that I've done so far in this project. It was like all of those jeans were technically wearable without that, but it's so much more fun for them to have pockets that are like 4 inches deeper than they were supposed to. That's giving me a lot of joy. I sort of don't like going out with... I don't go out with handbags a lot anymore. It's either rucksack or pockets only. So I have to have quite capacious pockets. And jeans are great because usually they have 4 pockets, and my outdoor coat has like 6 pockets in it. So, you know, I'm doing pretty well on the pocket front, but it's very cool for them to be absolutely humongous. 10 out of 10, can recommend. Very straightforward, didn't look a single thing up. Pretty much got it spot on first try. The only thing that I did going forward was cut slightly bigger pieces of fabric just to give myself some wiggle room. So yeah, super easy. So the 4th edit we're going to try and do, and again, haven't looked this up at all, don't know how straightforward or annoying it's going to be, is to add belt loops to these jeans. I really like these jeans. I really think the 3-button closure is really comfy, and they've got a really wide waistband, but they are slightly too wide, full stop, and I can't put a belt on them like easily because there's no belt loops. So like you're sort of in that weird sort of just putting a belt round it and cinching it enough that it just is, the vibe is not there. So I have, let me just check that this is definitely true, 2 pairs of scrap jeans that I've been using for like denim patches and things, both of which have belt loops on them. So what I'm going to do is cut the belt loops off of these and put them on my jeans. My concern is basically bulk. Obviously, the waistband of jeans is quite substantial already. And then you've got, I mean, it's what? 4 layers of denim just on the belt loop itself. So the main concern is the machine won't be able to handle it, and or this won't fit under the machine, which is entirely possible. And I'm going to have to do it by hand, which is going to take a while, making this video even later than it already is, and potentially be less secure. It's useful to know they're attached by lots of little stitches that way rather than long stitches that way, which I'm saying out loud so that when I go, how are these attached, I can look it up later. Very helpful recording myself doing stuff, because if I decide something and then later forget, I've got a bit more of a reference than I normally do. I'm lucky if I'll get this one belt loop off before I run out of time today. It's a really busy time of year, you know, like November into December is just quite stressful because there's so much to do all of the time, and you have to do your normal stuff on top of all the new stuff to do. Okay, I've undone half of one. A, it took longer than I thought. B, it's quite hard on the hands. So this feels like an in front of the telly activity, maybe. So yes, I'm going to abandon this for now and go get some sleep, and then rejoin you when I have belt loops to sew on and we can figure out how to get them back on another pair of jeans. Okay, so I've detached the belt loops that I wanted to use. I got 3 from one pair of jeans and 2 from another pair of jeans. So what I've done is I've pinned them onto the jeans I want to sew them onto. The 2 at the front match. And then the one at the back is the same as the one at the front, as the 2 at the front. And then these 2 side ones are the other pair of jeans. I basically laid another pair of jeans over the top of these ones, like staggered, to get the right places to pin it down. Sorry if you can hear machine noise. The washing machine has just kicked into high gear. I won't be long. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and sew these on the sewing machine. Now this is incredibly bulky. There is very much not an outside chance. There is a very significant chance that this isn't going to work. But I figure even if I have to hand turn the machine to let it go really slowly and like punch through, that's still going to be faster and less hard wearing on my hands than sewing them by hand. So yeah, I'm going to try and sew one of these on with the machine and see how happy the machine is with that, and then go from there. Oh. It worked for about the first 3 stitches, I think, and then after that it got tangled and just got worse. I think I'm gonna have to try and do it by hand. Dang it. Okay, so it is possible by hand. It's just a little bit hard work, and it's going to be quite time consuming because I've got to do 10 fixtures. But that one didn't take a ridiculous amount of time. I'm just feeling a bit about it because this video should have gone out today. And although I've already decided I was going to miss that deadline, watching it sail past has just not been the most fun thing in the world. But it's fine. We'll all manage. And also, there's a new Critical Role episode out, so I'm going to put that on and finish sewing these on. I'm sure you get the gist by now. And then we will see if the belt fits through them at the end. It's better be worth it. Okay, so I might have to do this bit mic on the table, maybe? Because the pig is being very needy right now. She's just been crying outside of the door for like 10 minutes. And there is the outside chance that she will threaten to wee on the floor if she doesn't get the cuddle that she wants. See, the deal was you were going to sit still. Ow! Where have you gone? Where did you go? Hold, please. Anyway, look. Belt loops. Spike and cheek. I shall censor her with my trousers. But look, belt loops. So we can wear these properly now. These trousers are now officially wearable. Okay, so the fifth and final thing we're going to do to repair and improve jeans is embellishments, which is not going to be structural at all. It's purely for fun, but I feel like that's a good place to end, especially given that this project has been a little frustrating. I'm going to have to slightly watch it because there's beads over here. So we are returning to the fun jeans, which I did the sunflower on. I've had a rummage through my like beads and findings boxes, and it is boxes plural, even though I don't really use them that often. So what I found is, this is going to be risky with her. We'll see how far we get. These are some earrings that I don't wear anymore. They've got a really nice, like different, like frosted leaves on them, and each leaf is attached by its own jump ring. So it should, in theory, be quite easy to separate the bits because it's the whole rainbow, but these jeans are kind of very strictly like a warm color palette. Pickle. So the plan is to remove the bottom sort of half of the leaves, and then essentially what I'm going to do is just make a little charm out of them because I think it'll be cute. So I've got some like keyring rings, some with chains on and some with chains on, and some without. I think I am going to do without to start with. Basically my plan is to put it around one of the belt loops near the pocket and just make a cute little chain there. And then I've got some other bits and bobs, and we're just going to kind of have a play. I want them to still be functional and wearable. So we're not going to go too ham. And I kind of want to be in a position where, like with using the key rings, the advantage is that stuff is removable if it turns out to not be practical or it gets like half wrecked in the wash or whatever. We like the earrings, do we? You're too close to the camera. You have to think about framing, BB. See if you can do it from here. What about this? So let's give that a try. I might have to get rid of you. You might have to go outside while I do the next bit, because it is mostly going to be playing with beads and clacky things, and you love that, but not in the helpful way. I'm sorry. This keyring, I've taken the chain off to make it a little bit shorter, and then we're just going to take off the bottom half of these. I want the green and orange, green, yellow, orange, I think. And I've just got like little jewelry tools here. Just open it there. And I'm going to take that whole bit off. I'm going to pop this in it. And then we're just going to close it up again. Okay, and then we've made a really cute little charm. I think that's really cool. And then I'm going to put it on this belt loop. And there we go. I mean, that took all of, what, like 2 minutes? And yeah, I think that's really cute. The other thing I wanted to try from Mustache, I've got these like wooden beads that I really love, and I considered trying to find a way of using them on these jeans, but I think, I don't know, I need to kind of work out if there would be a pattern that I would want to do with that. So I'm not going to do that today, but what I am going to try and do is use these, which are split pins. Now, I don't know if this is a good idea. My concern is that it will damage the jeans, obviously. My idea is to put them on the opposite pocket to the charm and kind of do like some sort of under of this bit. So I just need to work out, can I get under the pocket? If I go there, I can get in under the pocket. And then I'm going to punch a hole in my jeans. Like, that's not something we've been trying to actively avoid or fix this whole time. Yeah, see, that's very cute. I really like that. Okay, we'll do 2 more of those. And then 1 more. Again, just trying to get the same, or at least very similar distance from the edge. Split the pin. Again, that did not take very long. The test will be if they stay on through the wash. I might have to put some sneaky little stitches around the pin arms. In fact, now that I say that out loud, that seems like a really good idea. So I'm actually going to take some time to do that. And it's all just an experiment. I've never done anything like this before. So we shall see how well it lasts. If I need to do a repair later, then I need to do a repair later. You know, I know how to do that. It's not the end of the world. But in the meantime, I think this is cute and fun. And this is all just stuff I've got lying around, do you know what I mean? Which does sort of speak to my kind of craft hoarding. But also, it's not like I haven't really pre-planned this. I kind of had a rummage through the boxes to see what there was that would work for something like this. But I haven't agonized about it. It's not part of some grander design, which is unusual for me. So it's kind of fun just to have a play. And then I'm just going to secure the others quickly in exactly the same way. Just a little bit of reinforcement, and then we can revel in the final results. And there we go. 5 different ways of repairing and improving your jeans. Some fun, some practical, some fun and practical, to be honest. The belt loops was the one that was the real experiment, and honestly, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I think because the bit that I was sewing through had already been sewn through, so it was slightly easier to kind of punch through all those layers of denim by hand anyway. Obviously, the machine wasn't particularly a fan. Very pleased to have 4 functional pairs of trousers again. And very pleased to have finished this as a whole sort of coherent project. Thank you for watching. I hope you find this helpful as a helpful reference if you want to do edits to your own jeans. I'm almost definitely going to be referring to this video in the future to remember how I did stuff. So if nothing else, it's a useful record for me of what I'm doing. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Chunky one. Ha. Take care. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next project.